One defining injury can rob a generational talent in a blink of an eye. In the high stakes of NBA playoffs, a sudden move done thousands of times at practice can result in devastating life-changing career moments. With all the regular season wear and tear, one of the biggest reasons for load management, contenders having their franchise superstar fully ready for playoff basketball, but if a player tears something major, it's impossible to return when immediate surgery is required. In many forgotten series, there's been a bunch of big-name Hall of Famers who could have delayed surgery and continued to keep playing, which could have resulted in even more serious damage. But these players made the difficult choice to sit out, fully recover. Decisions not only saved their careers, but also set them up for incredible career comebacks, proving that sometimes the greatest move is knowing when to step back and allow yourself to fully recover. Starting with Eljin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, 1965. The then 30-year-old averaged 27 and 13, the season many believe Jerry West surpassed him. The high-flying small forward pretty healthy throughout his career until the opening 5 minutes of the playoffs, players being expected to suit up back then every night. Baylor lost a lot of quickness with knee problems. Went through 5 to 6 orthopedic men who favored the Lakers superstar to see therapy instead of undergoing operation. His legs absolutely band-aid, continued to go all out. Alex Hannum of San Francisco shook his head in disbelief. Bill Russell also showed his concerns. Eljin's kneecap almost split in half, out for the remainder of the postseason. Teammate Jerry West still carried the squad to the finals, averaged nearly 41 for the playoffs. Had Baylor continued to play the rest of the division finals and NBA finals to get another crack at Boston, his career likely would have been over. Despite never being the same again, Baylor did play 353 more games before fully breaking down in the early 70s, averaged a respectable 23.4 points, 11 rebounds after age 30, worked hard to make it back to training camp by fall, appeared in 65 games following year, a down season in 66, followed by 4 consecutive All-Star teams from 16.6 points, increased his average by 10, would have been comeback player of the year, made 4 more finals, despite retiring before the Lakers won the 72 title. Baylor considered the greatest small forward to ever play the game before the arrival of Dr. J and Larry Bird. Still in the conversation for top 20 player all time today, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 1980. The best player in the game, won his 6th MVP, averaged 25 and 11, 60-win team, finally looked to capture his 2nd title in LA. Cat was simply unguardable. All playoffs, Philly had no answers for his skyhook, averaged over 33 points, 13.5 rebounds, 4.6 blocks through 5 games. His teammates just couldn't execute down the stretch games 2 and 4. Both times Lakers needed a 3-pointer, lost by 1 possession. Bobby Jones ultimately ruined Jabbar's chances of being Finals MVP. Nixon missed the game-tying 3 Game 2, then turned it over final seconds Game 4, needing a 3. Needing to go back to Philadelphia for a Game 6, a pivotal 5th game, Cap severely sprained his ankle after a bucket before courageously coming back with an array of skyhooks, was not going to be denied, punctuated with a slam on Dr. J, but twisted his ankle so badly, decided to not make the trip for Game 6, looking to rest for a likely Game 7. Despite being doubtful, had Kareem just traveled to Philadelphia for the vintage Magic Johnson 42.15 rebound clincher, Cat would have still been Finals MVP, but since he wasn't physically present, voters changed their minds and gave it to rookie Magic. All in all, not traveling or even deciding to play at all possibly turned out to be the best decision for the eventual all-time leading scorer. Jabbar, 33 at the time, aged gracefully, never got severely injured again. Most players in his draft class already been retired, didn't miss more than 9 games in each of his next 9 seasons, put up 20.2 points, over 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. The rest of his career, named an All-Star each of those years. Had he decided to play on that bump ankle, his career could have easily been ruined, especially for a big. Cap eventually won his Lakers Finals MVP 5 years later, beating Boston as a 38-year-old superstar. James Worthy, 1983, first pick of the 82 draft, the hyper-athletic 6'9" small forward made an immediate impact off the bench for the champion Lakers, averaged 13.4 points on 58% shooting, as Showtime looked to become the first team since the '69 Celtics to repeat. but fighting for a putback, not landing properly, suffered a fractured tibia, affected the momentum of the Lakers' playoff run, considered the favorites to win it all, underwent surgery, missed the entire playoffs, team still easily got to the finals. LA even led every game of the championship at halftime, but swept by the hungry Sixers. Had the Lakers had a healthy Worthy, perhaps they would have had a chance. Worthy himself moved on to becoming the perfect third option in the mid-80s, averaged 21 for his postseason career, even looked like the best Lakers in some of the playoff runs, won a Finals MVP, could have posted higher numbers on a weaker team, but remembered as a top 50 player, winning 3 championships, earning the nickname Big Game James for his clutch playoff performances. Tim Duncan, 2000. One of the faces of the league, looked to become the new face of a dynasty. After winning Finals MVP in just his second season, the then 23-year-old averaged over 23 and 12, made defensive first team, arguably the second best player in the game behind Shaq. The 78th game of the season, April 11, Coach Popovich and the franchise made an all-time altering decision that could either make or break the Spurs. Tearing the lateral meniscus on his left knee, the competitive nature of the 6'11 superstar did everything possible to play, ran sprints. Despite a loose cartilage, the joint could have locked up at any moment. Coach Pop, being a pioneer of load management for good reasons, understood the implications of his young franchise star, realizing you could win multiple championships if you don't screw it up, convincing the eventual consensus greatest power forward all time to shut it down, a decision many teams wouldn't elect. Duncan missing the entire 2000 playoffs turned out to be the best thing that could have happened with the franchise in his career. If he were to mess up his banged up knee by playing and likely losing in the second round to the Lakers, his body likely break down much faster. San Antonio would go on easily losing round 1 to Phoenix. There were still ongoing talks throughout the series whether Duncan would come back, but the Spurs organization elected not to rush, able to think long term by just letting that series play out. Timmy not only returned to San Antonio, but was supposed to sign with Orlando until Doc Rivers happened, guaranteeing the Spurs at least 50 wins every year since he suited up in uniform. Fully recovered, played his best ball the following 3 years, led his Spurs to the best record the following season, then captured 2 straight MVPs and won 4 more championships to his name. That knee injury did cost him a spot in the 2000 Olympics and robbed some of his athleticism, but his fundamentals and consistency made him a lead until his final season 2016. Dirk Nowitzki, 2003, having his best season yet, led his team to 60 wins, tied for number 1 in the association. The 7-foot power forward put up 25 and 10, becoming one of the game's premier players at 24 years old, made his first conference finals, challenging Duncan's Spurs. Dallas, a more complete all-around team. The German prodigy teared it up game 1, dropped 38 and 15, being unguardable, but game 3 hurt his knee, resulting in a patellofemoral sprain, wouldn't return in the loss, sat out the rest of the series, being super close reaching to the finals. Mark Cuban could have screwed up his franchise superstar forever if he wasn't careful.
I think it was Manu that fell into my knee and I just sprained my knee, and I wanted to play so bad the next game, and then I even went to the pregame workout and I looked okay, and that's where actually Nelly and Cuban went into it, got into it a little bit, and they were never on the same page again. I think Cubes wanted me to play the way I worked out pregame, and Nelly was like, listen, he's 23.
Long career ahead of him.
Long career ahead of him. I'm not going to play him.
That's what Cuban said.
And so they didn't see eye to eye actually ever since after that. So, but yeah, going back now, I think it was the right decision not to play because I was so young, and even just standing there watching some of the game, I felt my knee was getting a little weak and a little sore, and so I think it was the right decision not to play, but of course it was tough. It was tough.
Kudos to head coach Don Nelson. Saving Dirk's career from further damage resulted in a hostile relationship between him and Cuban, eventually leading to Nelly's termination with the team in 2004. Given how unstoppable prime Duncan was, it wasn't guaranteed with a healthy Dirk Dallas would have beaten San Antonio. Given his team was already down 2-1, Duncan dropped 34 and 24 on the road, beating Dallas by 13. Perhaps Dallas wasn't quite on San Antonio's level just yet. Even with Nowitzki at 40% against the Nets in the finals, Dallas likely would have beat the inferior Nets. So close to the promised land, yet very far. After several disappointing playoff exits for years, Nowitzki finally had enough juice to squeeze out an all-time playoff run for the ages, helped his franchise win the 2011 title, played in 110 more postseason games after 03, averaged 25 and 10 rest of the way, solidifying himself as an all-time great, retired, being in the top 15 to 20 player discussion. Russell Westbrook 2013. OKC deemed favorites to come out the West. Even with the departure of Harden, KD and Russ became one of the most unstoppable duos, put together a 60-win season. Game 2 first-round series, OKC called a timeout after the whistle blown. The brashy Patrick Beverley still tried to take the ball on a dead play, bumped into Russ's knees, leading to a torn meniscus, an absolute reckless act, inflicting pain on somebody who played every single game his first 5 seasons, and having Russ miss the rest of the series and playoffs, the angry superstar still managed to finish out the rest of Game 2, leading to an OKC 3-point win, remain on the floor. Later in the game, Beverly went after him again, resulted in Russ's first ever injury as a pro, opted for surgery, causing the Thunder's title hopes. His ACL thankfully still intact. Had it been closer to the finals, perhaps Russ would have still played, needing 2 more surgeries. In October and December, missed 36 games the 2014 season, followed by some incredible triple-double years while still with Durant, and especially after post-KD OKC time, becoming one of the most durable and super explosive guards we ever seen, playing well over 1,100 career games, provided us countless of all-time explosive plays. Even though he's still missing a ring on his resume, Russ had an insanely long career, especially relying heavily on pure athleticism and a broken jump shot. Jaylen Brown 2021 shut it down just 2 weeks before the end of the regular season, a lost year where his team forced to be in the play-in, only to get bounced by Brooklyn's Big Three, having a torn ligament in his left wrist after a breakout year. His last moment on the court before being ruled out, colliding with teammate Jason Tatum, the final minute of the loss to Portland. Already playing with that torn ligament, which could have occurred in an April 15 game versus the Lakers or against OKC, re-aggravated it. The pain wasn't unbearable. Absolutely smart decision for Boston to sit out their second best player. Being the 7th seed that year, had no chance at a ring. If it were deep in the postseason, JB likely keeps playing. That extra rest allowed him to become his best version, winning Finals MVP 3 years later after becoming the highest paid player. While severe injuries like Kyrie's kneecap 2015 finals, Kawhi getting Zaza'd, no chance they were coming back from those ones. Giannis electing to miss the entire first round Pacers series, despite likely being able to force himself to play if it were up to him, could have extended his career much longer. And Kevin Durant and Kyrie already healthy by the time the bubble came around, Brooklyn had little to no chance against Toronto. It'd be odd to see KD make his Nets debut in the bubble, expected to win and make a deep run like that, but a much needed 18-month layoff, recovering from a torn Achilles. Many of these superstars' career-altering decisions changed the trajectory of one's legacy for the better good, especially the Kareems, Duncans, and Nowitzkis of the world, making unpopular decisions at the heat of the moment, but resulted in long-term excellence when all was said in stone. Unfortunately, there's been NBA players who came back from injuries too early or kept playing that ruined their careers. A topic of the future. Stay tuned, subscribe, see y'all soon.